Hi, I'm Josh Olson, and this is Trailers from Hell. And today we're going to talk about a city with no name and a man with many. It's Burt Reynolds and Raquel Welch in FUZZ. It must be a 70s caper flick. Well, actually, it isn't. It's FUZZ. It's a police procedural. I love that. That's speed dial, 70s style. That technology probably lasted for about 4 weeks. But it made it into the film. And when you think about it, it probably took longer to use your speed dial card than it did just to dial the number. You gotta love a trailer that gives away the ending of the movie at the beginning of the trailer. It's actually kind of a terrible, lackluster trailer here. It's an odd film. It's got some really solid performances from a great cast. Burt Reynolds, Raquel Welch, Tom Skerritt, Jack Weston, Yul Brynner. They're all quite fine in this, quite enjoyable. It was directed by Richard Culla, a perfectly serviceable TV director with credits on everything from McCloud to the Growing Up Brady TV movie. But where it gets interesting is with the writing credits. Based on a book by Ed McBain, the screenplay was by Evan Hunter. What's interesting about Ed McBain and Evan Hunter is that they're both the same guy. His name was Salvatore Lambino, and he worked at a literary agency in New York and started writing books. His first success was a book that got made into a movie called Blackboard Jungle, which he wrote as Evan Hunter. He also wrote science fiction. One of his other names was Richard Marston. He wrote the tawdry melodrama Strangers When We Meet. And he was so prolific he had to use different names. At one point, his publisher asked him to write a detective book, and he came up with what became the 87th Precinct series, which he wrote as Ed McBain, which for me and a lot of other people, it's what he's best remembered for. It was a series of books about a group of detectives working in an unnamed city, and they were pretty solid procedurals. In the film here, they kind of amped the comic tone of it.
Kill Reynolds! Come on, kill you silly son of a...
Which isn't really a mistake, it's just kind of odd.
He gave me $5 to bring it over here.
What do you look like?
A bald-headed guy with a thing in his ear.
And they named the city. They shot it in Boston. They acknowledge that it's Boston, even though in the books the city has no name. I imagine because the idea of not naming the city probably seemed a little bit radical at the time. But less than 10 years later, the TV show Hill Street Blues would pay homage to McBain by doing the same thing. It was a procedural show set in a city that they never named. I think everyone else thought it was New York, but they never actually stated that. The film's kind of wacky. It's kind of dated. They get a lot of mileage out of Raquel Welch being a female cop. My God, whoever heard of such a thing? Oh, and she's hot, too. They definitely played up the sexiness of their two leads, even though Burt Reynolds never takes his shirt off in the film. It's funny, that's a shot from the poster of the film. Burt Reynolds never takes his clothes off in the movie, but that is a recreation of his centerfold that he did at the time for Cosmopolitan.